We are going to look at keeping track of your passwords. We have so many passwords to keep track of. And as I've said before in this series of videos, it's super important to not have your email password be the same as any other passwords you have. Your email password should be sacred from all other passwords and should not be shared with anyone unless you trust that person implicitly. So let's go ahead and take a look at all the rest of your passwords that all need to be different from each other to make sure that you have an incredibly secure system of passwords. The first one I like to look at is a passphrase. And the way that we're going to look at this passphrase here is "I love ice cream!" exclamation point. That would be our base password, but certainly we wouldn't use that as a password because it's way too easy to guess, or for spy bots to find that if they were using like a dictionary word tracker or something like that. You wouldn't want anybody to be able to identify real words in your password. So we need them to be as encrypted as possible. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take a look at switching those letters up. So instead of the letter I, I've changed the letter I to a 1. I've changed the O to a 0. I've changed the 3. I've changed the 3 to an E. In each instance here, I've changed the E to a 3, and I've gone ahead and put that exclamation point on. So, but we're not done yet. This password is now our encrypted base password that we're going to use for the rest of our passwords for the rest of our system. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. If we have a base password such as this, nice and encrypted, pretty simple, but easy to remember. And let's go ahead and say that we need that password for Amazon. So I'm just going to put an AM for the first 2 letters of Amazon on there with an asterisk at the end. This helps really mix it up a little bit more when you have that asterisk at the end, or what I like to call as funky characters. Those are the little characters above your number pad on your keyboard. So for example, the next one, if we're banking with, say, Bank of America, we might want to use the first 2 letters of Bank of America, BA, and it's a banking institution, so we're going to use the $sign as our little symbol there, or our funky character. And for the last example I'm going to use is for Facebook. So if we're going to be using Facebook, it's going to be our encrypted password, "I love ice cream," capital F, lowercase a, and an asterisk. And if you follow this system throughout your passwords, then you should be a little bit less confused as to what your password is every time you go into it. So using a base password and then changing it up to be a little bit more encrypted is helpful to you. Please don't use this password. Don't use "I love ice cream." I teach this lecture all over the place, and everybody using this password would not be secure. So come up with your own base password, encrypt it to something that makes sense to you, changing up the letters for numbers or the letters for other letters. Whatever makes sense to you, but this is the system that I use so I can keep track of all of my passwords. Another good idea is to use a password manager, something like LastPass or OnePass, which will also help you remember your passwords. I will do a later video on LastPass. That is my password encryption manager, and I really enjoy that. Thank you for watching, and as always, visit ComputerTanya.com for short snippets on how to do all things computer.